Welcome back, Rebels.
Thank you to everybody who came to Access this week. It was amazing.
It was so nice to kind of like have an idea and just kind of like run with it. And like there wasn't too much prep that went into it. It was just like here's the thing that we're going to do. Let's see if it works. And it worked so well. Like, it was so nice to just have all the community there, have people who like asking loads of questions. I feel like people were really honest with the kind of questions that they were asking. And I feel like the feedback we gave was like, again, really honest. And yeah, it was just a wonderful event.
I think that's the beauty of Q&A, is that you can just roll in the moment and we don't know what we're going to get asked. So then we can just kind of flow with it, and it's much more natural, which I really like. So yeah, we had a whole bunch of people show up for the event, which was amazing. A lot of really like insightful, interesting questions asked, and we really delved down. And I think one thing that I came away from it is that, and I hope people understand this when they listen to the show, I'm sure they do, but it's like there is no right answer. And I've been thinking this a lot recently, like life is so choose your own adventure. And advice is just there for you to assess and then go, is that right for me or is it not? Because there was one person who's a writer who we were giving loads of advice to, and it's like maybe these were the absolute things that she should be doing, but also maybe they're not. And it's like, I don't have a career as a writer. I have ideas of how I think a writer could succeed in the currently very, very saturated market of being a writer. But like there is no right answer. And I really hope that everyone just sort of like takes on board as many different varying opinions as possible, and then goes, well, for me, my individual story, which is only personal to me, that no one else can actually relate to, like, let me take this bit of advice from over here. Maybe because like Gary Vee gets a hard rap from people because mostly his presentation, but it's like, but can you learn from him? Maybe I take a little bit from Gary Vee, maybe I take a little bit from Creative Rebels, maybe I take a little bit from wherever, and then like craft your own career from those different pieces of advice.
Yeah, I think there's like so many different routes you can go in life, and I feel like we're not telling you which of those routes to take. I feel like we're just providing the momentum. We're taking the push to just push you down one of them. We're giving you the energy to actually make a move in a certain direction. It doesn't matter what one it is. And I think that writer one's a really, really good point, because yeah, we've no experience in the literary world, but we know that moving somewhere is better than staying still. And I think that's what everyone who listens to the show needs to do. It's like every week, take something from one of the guests and then put that into action. Make sure that you're always moving in a direction away from where you are now. Like that might be back, that might be straightforward, that might be down some weird little route you've never even considered. But
that's
I think
so
it's
important. Like even going in the wrong direction. The wrong direction is more important than staying still.
If you're going in the wrong direction, that's going to give you so much more momentum coming back the other way. It's like if you're having a 100-meter race, but someone started 10 meters back, and by the time they hit the start line, you start too. They're already running at full speed and they're going to keep going, but it's only because they went in the wrong direction to start with.
All right, analogy. I thought you were going to say rubber band. You're a rubber band that gets pulled back and then you fire off in the...
There you go. Analogies on analogies. That is a much better one. But yeah, it is that rubber band thing, like you're slingshotting yourself back. But yeah, it all comes down to momentum. And I think making sure that you're never stuck, you're never stopping. And if you are stopped, then what can you do to get going again? What kind of little bit of energy, what catalyst can you get to push you in some form of direction?
Yes, there will be another catalyst coming soon. On December the 8th, we will be doing our next Access event. So head to creativerebels.co/access, where you can sign up. You will get a Zoom link to be able to attend our next Access event. Now that we've done the first one, I feel like the second one is going to be even more successful. If you did attend, please tell a friend. Everyone that came, we had a lot of feedback, a lot of DMs from people saying that they did find it useful and that it did bring value. So that's why we've decided to do a second one, just because we felt we met our goals of helping people in that live context. So that's why we're going to do another one, and it is on December the 8th.
Something I want to talk about this week is making bad content. And it sounds stupid, but I think it is really important that everything you put out, it's never going to be just this perfect piece. And I think this can really like, hold people back in creating stuff because they're like, oh, actually, I've started drawing and it's not perfect, which just means I'm not good enough and I'm going to stop.
I've noticed that we've been talking a lot about content, quote unquote, recently. And I mean, really just the reason that we're focusing on that a lot at the moment is just because that is the current state of the internet. Of if you are doing something creative, there are a bunch of different ways that you can get attention to your business. Maybe one of those ways is posting flyers through people's doors. Like that does still work. If you've got the right copy and you scattergun and do 1,000 houses, then maybe you're going to get like some jobs from that. Your biggest chance of success is producing content for the internet, and that comes at a with everything. If you've been listening to Creative Rebels for any period of time, you will realize that we don't go down the route of a quick fix. We always go down the route of let's learn this thing, become really good at it, and that takes time. And just because you are, if you're at the stage where you're amazing at your craft, like even the production of the content is going to, it's like we were talking to a chef recently who makes really bloody yummy food, but her videos, she says my videos suck. That's because she doesn't know how to make videos yet, and that's going to be bad content because she hasn't learned how to create those properly yet.
Especially like something like videos and getting started in anything like that. It's I was messaging someone in our DMs yesterday about, she was like, oh, I want to start doing videos, but there's just so much to learn. Like it's so overwhelming, and I think I responded. I was like, well, I can understand why it's overwhelming because obviously you're watching like movies that have got millions of pounds of budget and people have been doing it for their whole careers. And there's like your level of what you think is acceptable is so high because you're used to just seeing this amazing stuff. But actually to edit a video, it's very simple. I was like, it's like a collage. I was like, if you can effectively go through a magazine, cut stuff out and then lay it out in the order that you want it to be, that's exactly what video editing is. Like it's just getting your clips, cutting it down, putting it in a certain order. Does that order tell the story that you want it to? If you want to start doing it chronologically, is always really easy because then it like literally follows a timeline. That is the most basic form of video editing, and that is actually what a lot of TV does. If you watch a documentary, all that is just snippets put together in a long row.
I'm sure there's a lot of editors listening right now who are saying it's a bit more complicated than that. And it absolutely is. And I mean, when we were first started making videos for our business and the videos we were making 5 or 6 years ago, we had handy cams before we had like DSLRs that were capable of doing video. We were like going around with handy cams. Then we'd have to take that footage from the camera, put it onto a laptop or computer that was capable of handling those files. We'd have to run it through editing software. It's like now, if I want to make something, I can go onto TikTok and I can edit it within the app. And so things have changed so much that, yes, maybe it might be nice to get a DSLR. Maybe it might be nice to edit that footage on Premiere Pro. But really, when you're first starting, if you have a mobile phone, which most of us do, then you have iMovie within your mobile phone. If you're on Apple, I'm sure there's probably a Samsung equivalent within their phones. We have the technology, most of us, in our pocket to be able to just start creating. As you improve through using basic tools, you can start to graduate to the more complicated things.
Yeah, like I remember like a few years ago, my mum would like watch some of my like travel videos and she was like, oh, I love them. It's so nice to be able to watch that. I would love to do that for myself, but it's just too much. And I was like, it was the same as what we're talking about now. I was like, well, you've got iMovie on your computer. Just when you're on holiday, just video stuff. And then when you get back, gave her like a half an hour tutorial about, well, just move these things here. This is how to snip it. And then she just became obsessed with making videos. And they're not like the best videos in the world. Like no one's ever going to pay her to do those, but she's learning every single time that she makes them. And now she's telling me about these different techniques she does. And now when she's taking her pans with the video, she holds it in a certain way to make it smoother. And it is just a learning curve. And I think if you have that mentality of you're going to make 100 bad videos before you make your first good video, that is going to happen with everyone, and everyone who's making good videos now has probably made 100 crappy videos, then it's just understanding you're just on that journey, and it's fine to put out work that isn't like movie quality.
There's probably something deeper here. I would imagine that a lot of people that are saying, I'm not technically savvy, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the tech skills to do this, maybe they probably understand, I could learn that. I could just watch. If I dedicate like an hour an evening to watch a couple of YouTube videos, within a couple of weeks, I'm going to be okay. I could do an evening class. I could there are methods. Maybe it's, I'm actually scared of putting my content out on the internet, because there's all of a sudden a very big jump from if you just put out photos to all of a sudden putting out a video, because inevitably most videos are going to involve your personality in some way. So my content of painting, I'm just uploading time lapses. I'm pretty sure that if I started to get my personality across in those videos, they probably would do better. So that's maybe something I need to work on. But all of the content that we make for all the video content we make for Creative Rebels is 100% our content. This podcast is our personalities. They're out there, and that did take a while of getting okay with being that and presenting ourselves online. But we had to press play the first day. We had to press record, and then we had to send it out. And that it's a scary moment. But I'm so glad can you imagine if we hadn't overcome that hurdle? If we'd sat around and allayed all of those fears to each other like we did, of we don't like our voices, we're maybe not as established as other experts, maybe we're like, and we'd let ourselves talk ourselves out of doing this podcast. Like, I can't even imagine that.
A lot of it comes back to what we were talking about at the start of this episode, where it's all about momentum. It's all about always moving in some form of direction. And one thing I said to the person in our DMs, I was like, if you're so not confident to put yourself out there yet, make a video every day this month, but don't show it to the world, because you will get more confident in front of video. And like what I do sometimes is like the camera that I've got recording this now. So if you're watching this, if you listen to this on podcast or on YouTube too, I'll sometimes just like turn it on, and then I can see myself in the screen, and it will just be there looking at me. And I'm just getting used to being on camera. And it sounds really weird, but just seeing yourself on camera, like hearing yourself talk, the more it happens, the less weird it seems. And over a certain period of time, you just get used to it. Like I've got a friend from uni, and I remember ages ago, he was like wanting to vlog. And I was like, well, just set yourself a challenge of vlogging every single day. You don't have to put any of it on the internet, but make sure you make those videos, because it's going to get you more confident over time. And then by doing that, then now he's actually putting stuff on YouTube where he's putting himself out to the world. And it all comes down to like taking that first step of just making the videos that no one ever saw, and they're probably like on some hard drive or deleted or something now, but it's all a process of building. And you're not going to be the most confident person the first time you put a camera in front of your face, because it's not natural. It's not something that we're used to doing. But you have to make it like, but nothing we do, none of the skills we have, we were born with. It's something that we've all learned, and they are all learnable skills. So I think it is just a matter of getting started, getting the momentum, moving in that right direction, because as long as you're always moving towards a goal, you're always getting closer to achieving it.
One word that comes up in our iTunes reviews quite a lot, and if you haven't left us a review on iTunes, don't wait for everyone else to do it. Please go and leave us a review right now. But one of the words that comes up a lot is the word relatable, and which is very lovely, and thank you to everyone who says that. But the reason why people say relatable is because they can see themselves in us. When they listen to this podcast, they can see that we're not a million miles ahead of where they want to get to. And so because of that, like, it's so funny, like when we did the event, when we did Access this week, and you get people coming on the call and going, oh, I can't believe I'm talking to you. And like, that's so wild for us, because we can't believe that we're talking to you. We can't believe that anyone wants to talk to us. We literally are just two dudes, well, three if you include Yona, who did a thing, and now we're like talking to people about it. And it's like, you can do the things that we have done. Like, they are totally achievable if you are holding yourself back, then have a fucking word with yourself. Like, this is us having a word with you now. Like, stop listening to whatever that bullshit is in your head and like just do the thing. Like, we've done the thing, and you can see the successes that are coming from us doing the thing. You can too do the thing.
You can do the thing. And I think what is great to do at the end of every day is just look back and be like, what momentum did I create today? How did I move closer to where I want to be? And if the answer is I didn't make anything, then tomorrow there needs to be something different happening. Because it's like, even if it is just the smallest thing you do every day, over time that will amount to so much more.
And so, on the topic of live events, here is the audio of a live event that we did before COVID hit, and it was with the absolutely marvelous Kellyanna. And this episode, I think, is one of our most important episodes that we've ever done. Listening back to it, the advice in here it's like, especially if you want to become an artist, but I think really a lot of it is relatable to anyone. The journey, like the way Kellyanna broke down her journey and everything that's involved in this podcast, I think is a must listen. So I'm really excited for people to hear this one.
Yeah, absolutely must listen, as David said there. And yeah, it's like, even if you're not an actual artist, like there are so many lessons in this that are completely like, you can take them and use them in anything that you're doing. So let's get into this episode.
Yes, indeed. Kellyanna is a freelance print designer and artist. She's had her designs worn by Beyonce, painted murals across the world, and has collaborated with brands like Nike and Lego. Her work is a bold mix of power, athleticism, femininity, and movement, a style that is an amalgamation of her entire life, really, and her artistic career.
In this episode, we talk about being creative, finding a style, and money.
Literally, I think I must have tripled the prices. And again, it still didn't deter people. It didn't stop. So I was like, fuck, I could have been selling it for so much more.
Today, we're joined by Kellyanna, who I've been a fan of for a long time, who is an amazing artist. Anya.
Thanks.
Universally, like, your work has really taken off. I think there's different parts of your work that people sort of really relate to. Mm-hmm. And when I look at your stuff, I feel like movement is, I'm moving, as I'm saying. Yeah.
Energy,
movement and energy is really important. Like, where do you find your themes for the work you're creating currently?
I don't know if you know my backstory, but I grew up as a dancer.
Well, we're going to find out your backstory.
Yeah,
mate.
there you go.
Let's go deep.
So I grew up as a ballroom and Latin dancer. Everyone finds that really weird, but I've said it enough now. It's not that shocking anymore. So I grew up as a ballroom and Latin dancer, and I was a gymnast as well. And my dad was an artist, and he was pretty much my art tutor growing up. And he loved the figure, and he loved drawing. He loved life drawing and all of that. So I grew up doing that, and then I started kind of practicing at dancing competitions. So I'd kind of go along to these competitions and watch all the dances. And...
So would you be taking part in these at the same time?
Yeah. Although, I was very young.
Not dancing around with a pen and paper.
No, I wasn't dancing and drawing. Yeah. But I would, if I wasn't competing, then I'd be drawing.
Did you ever feel like self-conscious of doing that, like whipping out a sketchbook? And was everyone like, what are you doing?
I was so young. Yeah. I don't think I gave a shit about any of that. So, I was too young, really. And then...
It's funny, isn't it, how we get older, we start giving more of a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it about the kind of time you had free that made you want to sit and draw?
I was so shit, don't get me wrong. When I was young, my dad was like, he was naturally good at drawing from like an early age. From like, I see sketches he did when he was like 13, 14. And I'm like, oh my God, they were so good. Whereas I didn't naturally have that. I was more expressive with my drawing, whereas Dad was very literal.
Yeah.
So every time I would draw something and it was a bit out of shape or anything, and it wasn't exactly what was in front of me, Dad would literally be like, no, start again. And so I'd always kind of try and make it exactly what I saw, but it never kind of, for me, it didn't feel good. I wanted to kind of create something different rather than what was exactly in front of me.
And what do you think?
Even though he was criticizing you, you still kept going, because it's a really tricky one, isn't it? Because a lot of us, when we get
that criticism from someone. Like, you put your heart and soul into your work, and it doesn't feel nice when someone goes, that's not good enough.
No, it feels awful. Yeah.
But at the same time, it obviously like helped you grow and learn. Did he have sort of a technique of like, I'm being harsh here, but at the same time, like, no. Okay, well, it's quite remarkable actually that you carried
he
on.
wasn't like, I'm making it sound like he was awful, but Dad's hilarious and he's awesome. But he wasn't the best teacher, because he'd literally be like, no, shit, start again. So,
Wow.
but I had this thing, I was just like, I just wanted to kind of prove to myself and just because I enjoyed it. So I just kept it up. And then I kind of kept it up through high school. And then I was going to end up being I was going to be a dancer, and then went to art school. And then it wasn't cool to dance in art school at that time.
So at school, would you say you were good at art?
No, I think what I was good at was creating lots of work and kind of making everything I did was more about creating projects and creating themes and like not necessarily technically. I don't think I was great at drawing. Maybe I was better than, because I had no confidence back then.
Well, your dad destroyed it by the sound.
I know. God, sorry, Dad. No, but I think, I back then I was kind of still finding myself and still finding my style. And I mean, that still took years anyway after college and uni, whatever. But
So what did your kind of style look like at this point?
Well, I had throughout high school and kind of when I went to study a national diploma, I really got into fashion. And so I started doing fashion illustration. And
as in like traditional kind of watercolour-y.
Exactly that. And then I ended up from that thinking that I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I ended up studying fashion design, and then I realised I'm shit and can't pattern cut. So I'd gone into this course and I was like, oh my God, I've like left my hometown, gone to London, wanted to become like this big fashion designer boss lady, and I was just like, that's not going to work because I can't pattern cut. So then I found fashion illustration, a uni course at London College of Fashion.
And did you move on to that?
Yeah, I literally did a year in fashion design, completely failed it. And then I was like, what the fuck? I can't move back. I was like, I can't move back to Ipswich and get a 9-to-5. I was like, I've already done it. I've moved. So yeah, I moved on to this course. And then,
So you always had that idea of the 9-to-5 wasn't really for you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think I could never do it. I don't think I'd get so bored. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I think.
And so when you were on that course, was that when you did the fashion show stuff?
Yeah. So when I won a competition in my first year to live illustrate at Fashion Week, and then so I'd sit front row and sketch the looks as they came down the catwalk.
I mean, pressure, like that's incredible.
Do you know what? It's really weird. I think because when I was sketching dancing and that movement, I kind of was always used to getting down lines quickly. And Dad, if you see Dad draw as well, he's so quick at sketching, and the paper rips because he's really furious with his lines. But
he's angry. Your dad is taking it out on the paper now.
He really is the nicest guy, and he's a boring Latin dancer as well, so he's like really gracious. He sounds like a strange guy, but he's so passionate in his drawing, and that kind of, and he's so confident with his mark making, and I think that's where I got it from. And so, but I mean, don't get me wrong, the first sketch I did was literally a stick man, and I was like, fuck, I can't show them this. But yeah.
And then you did it for 5 seasons?
About 4 seasons.
So let's forget 5 seasons into it. Like, how did you feel like day one when you sit down there and you're like, I've got to do
your
this?
hands sweat really badly. Oh, that sounds disgusting, doesn't it? But it was so, because obviously like it's really hot in there and the lights are on and like people are watching you because you've got a sketch pad. People are like watching you going, what is she doing?
Yeah.
And then I dropped my rubber on the floor, and I'm not joking, literally the model's foot stepped right in front of it, and I was like,
no.
dropping a
Yeah.
rubber
Sometimes
onto
like you drop
the
it and it
catwalk.
goes like bounce, and you're just like,
It was so embarrassing. But,
She breaks her ankle and then you're
Oh God,
fired.
that is so something that would happen to me as well. But luckily no one stepped on it. I got away with it.
So by the end of show 1, how has your confidence grown?
I mean, throughout all the shows, I got so much. I obviously got much better because I think that it's that idea of just really loosening up. And I know sometimes like when you sit down with a sketch pad and that first sketch you draw is shit. It takes me so long just to get into the rhythm of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I don't know if people here will relate, but the most frightening thing to me is a blank sketchbook.
Yeah.
Like when you just get that first page and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I hate that. I can't. I normally have to start with like a paper collage or like something that's a bit more.
And I always flip like 3 pages in as well. I can't start on the first page. It's so stupid.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I was watching something the other day actually, and they were talking about ways to get started when you've just with a blank thing. And they said like the best thing to do is go back to something you've done before and just start like finishing it off. So like if you've got a previous drawing, just start adding some bits to that, tweaking it. And then when you go to the blank page, you're already in a bit of flow. So then you get straight into it.
Yeah.
That's good advice, yeah.
Because it's really, you feel really stiff because it is a lot of what we do and a lot of like the mark making we do. You've got to be free and kind of, you've got to have a little bit of naivety and a bit of, I think as you grow older, that naivety kind of, you don't have it so much. So
do you think that's because like through practice you just become almost too polished, so you have to remind yourself?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of illustrators and artists, because you build yourself up and then you've got your style. Style is such a huge thing. I end up talking about it to so many students as well. But you kind of become this thing. And then to move even outside and experiment with new things can be really, really tricky.
Yeah, and it's across all of the arts. It's like music.
Yeah.
If you decide to all of a sudden incorporate some jazz into your thing, then your fans are going to reject you.
Going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
I'm just having a bit of fun.
Yeah, we should have permission to.
I know, but it happens so much. I have this conversation with so many of my mates who are artists and illustrators. And so many of them, and myself as well, you kind of get yourself into this thing where you're like, oh, can I try that? Can I go down that route? But we shouldn't be like that because that's just really restrictive.
Yeah,
we were talking recently about if you do your thing 80% of the time, have 20% of the time to go and experiment with other stuff.
Yeah,
so I think trying new things is only going to make you grow. How do you move forward
otherwise?
Exactly, yeah. So going back there, like how does someone find a style?
I think style's so hard. It is honestly the one thing people ask, and I think my style just gradually throughout, because I ended up doing print design after the fashion illustration course. It was right because I got to the end of uni and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this useless course in fashion illustration? It was a fun course, but what jobs are in fashion illustration? None. So
I think that's the problem that so many people are facing, that we've spent 3 years on a degree and it just has no real world implications.
Yeah.
And there's probably some people in here who are on one of those courses right now. But I think that's
There's a guy
fine.
nodding his head
no,
over
it's
there.
fine.
That's it. That's the thing,
Guys,
isn't
it's
it?
totally fine. I did it. I did a really shit, useless course. Not saying that your course is any shit or useless. But I interned a lot. I pretty much started interning in first year. And I was interning at print houses, so I was doing print design. So then when I left, I got my first job was a print designer. So that was my lucky break into getting a job in the industry. But yeah, whilst I became a print designer and I was kind of living in that world, unlike some of my other friends now who pretty much left uni and started freelance, I was working for other people for like 6 years. And it was only until about 3 years ago now that I actually really went out and did my own thing.
And are you happy that you went that route and that you had those 6 years working in a real business to that's shaped your business moving forward?
Yeah, I am so grateful that I went that route, because through that I learned everything from agency side to working with factories, working on how you get something from a sketch all the way through to end product, and that is so valuable, because as an artist now, it's not just about working on a 2D sketch, it's about bringing that to life somehow. And how do we do that? Through product, through even in exhibitions, it's taught me how to create various product and different things. And
yeah, I mean, we always say to people, if there's a job that you want to do and there's something that you think you might be good at, you can either try it on your own and guess, or you can work under someone who's done that thing, and you can learn, because we only learn by doing. You can read every single business book on the planet and you'll learn loads, but it won't prepare you for just the little things that happen, like working with a client, the things that go on emails, just these little things. You can only learn those by diving in and actually doing it.
Exactly. And also just learning, I learned so much of how to talk to people, how to email, how to negotiate with clients, and all of those things that I would never have known if I'd just gotten out of uni. So I do always say to students as well, it's like, don't worry if you've just left and you're like, oh my God, what I'm not becoming this amazing artist that I thought I was going to be. Give yourself time, because it can take years, one, to find the style that you're really happy with. And you've just come out of uni. You're probably not going to have your style ready, unless you're one of the lucky few, who becomes a graduate and gets people in the top 10, who are amazing. But also, sometimes you see it and they hit their high very early on, and they've not necessarily had the experience to keep moving it forward. Yeah,
and also you learn so much from being in the nitty gritty, I think having that instant success doesn't then set you up for, as the roller coaster goes down, which it inevitably does.
Yeah.
It's almost like child actors, isn't it? It's like they get this massive rush when they're a kid, and then go mentally crazy, and then you never see them again.
Yeah, because as you grow up and you like you say, that you're in the nitty gritty, and you learn, and you're having to deal with the really shit boss, and you're having to deal with people at work that you need to kind of, your co-workers that you need to kind of get on with, and all of these different things that you learn when you're working at a company. You don't necessarily learn that on your own, especially as a freelance artist.
Yeah, I always say to people, whatever job you're in now, even if it seems like this is the most waste of time job, you're still learning something, whether it's dealing with clients. I mean, I used to work in a mobile phone shop. I mean, the worst, the absolute worst, one of those guys trying to sell you a contract. Awful. I mean, I was really honest. I was just like, look, Vodafone's over there, go and but that actually, surprisingly, I did really well, because people just respected that, rather than, because our rule in our shop was, if you let someone leave, they're never going to come back. And I think that's probably you can see it now, can't you? Now, when you go into a shop, oh, they don't want me to leave. It's so I was always like, no, go and check everything out and then come back to me. And then people go, oh, well, actually, no, I won't bother. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because the honesty.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about mobile phones, but I learned so much about sales, because sales is, as a creative, sales is a key part of your business, because you can be the best creator in the world, but if you don't know how to then market it and get it out to the people. And I mean, for example, one thing I learned from selling mobile phones is that if you say to someone, here's your contract, it's going to be, I'm going to do maths now, Adam. Yeah, right, get ready. I'm so here's your contract. Let me do the easy numbers. Right, it's £20 a month, and then your insurance is £10 a month, and then here's a case for £5. So in total, it comes to 35 quid. Right?
Round of applause.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Long-time listeners will know I can't count. But you don't do that. What you say is, it'll be £35 plus I'll throw in a free case for you, and your insurance covers you for this, and this. But that's the same. Like now, if we're quoting like 20k for a mural, it's like if you then come back and go, I forgot the powered access. That's going to be 5k on top, and then and you start adding all these costs up. Then all of a sudden your client's annoyed from you. I learned that in a mobile phone shop.
Yeah.
Of like give them the final cost. Like have some contingency money for stuff that will go wrong, that you will never like foresee, and then if it doesn't go wrong, then that's bonus money, great. But like always have it in there, because then if you do need to send boards in a van to across town, or you like everything that you will have forgotten, then you're covered.
So there's always added costs.
Always.
I'm realising that.
Always.
Lost so much money through that.
So yes,
because you
you've
can't
got
go back on your quote.
That's the thing.
Your thing.
That's the thing, because you just piss people off.
And that's just bad business.
I think that's experience as well, isn't it? It's like you probably wouldn't read that in a book, but by making the mistakes, you learn, and then next time you'll add on, and then as you've been doing it for years and years, then you find it at a stage when it works really well.
And you just charge them loads anyway, and
exactly.
Charge more. Like whatever it is you guys are charging, charge more. Honestly,
I always say that because I've got a mentee at the moment, and I'm always just like, she's like, oh, should I charge this? And I'm like, no, you need to like literally triple that. But I think costing up is really hard when you're new to it.
Especially when you're doing something that you love, which for most of us, that's the goal, is like, oh, I want to do something that I'm really happy and fulfilled. And I go into work every day and I'm like, oh, I get to do this thing that I really love. And then they feel guilty of, I've got the best job in the world, I can't then go and ask for money for that. And they get really funny over actually charging for things.
Yeah, but that doesn't pay your bills.
Exactly.
And when your tax comes in and you've got to pay that, that's when you're like, shit, I need to charge these people more.
Yeah.
Because it's real life, and it's like you've got to pay your rent.
Yeah, 100%. And because if you can't pay your rent, then you can't keep doing the thing that you love, and you can't keep helping people. It's like we had someone on the podcast recently who was talking about, if as a creative you don't get an understanding of sales and marketing, you are stealing from people. And she's like, if your work brings joy to people, then you want them to have that. And we associate sales and marketing with all these negative things of like that it's dishonest, or that you're conning people or whatever. And it's not like that. It's just telling people that you exist. Here's some rad shit I made. Do you want to buy it? Like, if not, that's cool. But like, it's here. And it's always like, I guess it's asking, isn't it? It's like, it's here if you want it.
Yeah. Being a hustler.
Yeah.
You got to hustle. I think that's the thing. People people get so scared to like sell their work as a product. But actually, it is a product, and you're right. Like it makes people happy. So just
What's been your journey in terms of pricing then?
It's really weird actually, because are you talking about just in
terms of going from like having some art you were creating to like the first person buying it, to then realizing actually I can charge more for this?
Yeah. So when I set up my website a couple of years ago. And when I first set it up, I was putting on prints for I put them on for like £50 or something. And then I was getting loads of orders, which was great. And then I started slowly putting them up. And every time I put it up, the sales never dropped. So I was like, okay, no one knows. I was never going, oh, my prices have got, I was just doing it quietly on the side and seeing if it worked, and people were still buying. And then my partner, probably like last year, was like, "This, you can't sell your work for this cheap. Like you've got to see it not as decoration. You've got to see it as art."
Yes.
And so I think I must have tripled the prices. And again, it still didn't deter people. It didn't stop. So I was like, fuck. Could have been selling it for so much more. But again, I didn't. Again, it was the confidence thing, and I was like, "Oh, no one's gonna want to pay that." But actually, nothing was stopping me in the first place just trying it. Because when we have our own websites, what's stopping you to go? Do you know what? Put up a piece for £600.
Mm-hmm. See what happens. Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you, and even if there's a voice in the back of your head going, "Oh, who does she think she is selling that for that?" Who cares if you sold a piece for 600 or whatever you want to sell it for?
Because there's someone out there selling one for 100,000.
Exactly. And so, And then another thing I have started doing is, really looking into the printing and screen prints and looking into editions and learning all about that side. How much people love the editions and that kind of adds a real value to it. So, and I work with the really amazing screen printers.
Because that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's like if you charge more for it, you can create a better quality product,
Exactly.
which at the end of the day is going to represent you better.
Yeah, definitely. Screen printing is so expensive, and it's a hard one because you spend so much, you put so much money into it, and then you really just hope that you make the sales back. But again, if it's screen printed, people often know that it's going to be more expensive anyway.
And I suppose you get to that stage, like, because you're now at that stage where you've got enough experience that if you do a run of prints, they're most likely going to sell.
Yeah.
Whereas, and you just build up to that stage. So if you're putting your first things up on your website, don't invest thousands and thousands of pounds.
I don't think you need to. I think, start slowly. And it's the same with all business. If there's a demand for it, it will slowly build up anyway.
Yeah.
But I think I remember when I first started, and before I had the web shop, I couldn't imagine doing a shop or doing an online shop because I was just always like, but who would buy this? I don't have enough money to print. How do I start this production? But all I did was literally put up one print, and it was a giclée print. I put it up, and I hadn't lost any money because I did it per order. So I think you've got to find ways to get around. Don't scare yourself. Don't be like, okay, I'm going to release 10 prints and a t-shirt and
Yeah.
And before you sold your first one, had people been coming to you and saying, how can I buy this?
Yeah. And I had nowhere to, I was like, I don't know. I don't have any. So yeah, I that's why I kind of started it, because I had a bit of interest, and then because I was only really doing client work before that. And then I was like, I could probably make a bit of money on the side.
Yeah.
And my dad always taught me, make money while you sleep. So, and it does. It makes money. It's a good way for that.
Yes, I think if you ever want to sell a product, ever want to sell anything, if you're starting anything you're passionate about, do it for free and just keep doing it until you get to a stage where people message you and saying, how can I give you money for this? And I think as soon as that happens, that's when it's time to do it. Because if you just think, oh, I'm going to release, like years ago, probably 8 years ago now, we thought we'll make a merch line. We'll get these different artists, create all these different t-shirts. We'll put them out. We'll sell them for £15 each. If we sell,
we've still got them if you want to buy a t-shirt. Yeah. See us afterwards. We'll do a good deal.
Like, if we sell 1,000, that's like 15 grand. That's amazing. That's exactly. But you just have no idea. So yeah, we bought loads of t-shirts, got them done, but no one ever asked for them. It was like, we just thought we could make money doing this.
Yeah.
But I think if people start asking for something and you're not currently selling it, that's the time to start offering it as a service, which obviously seemed to work well for you.
Yeah. I won't do 1,000 t-shirts.
Yeah, well, if people start asking for t-shirts, then start doing them.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I do my t-shirts now. So.
Yeah, totally.
So in terms, listening to your journey there, when I look at your work and you're talking about style, and we've talked about both things of just having the patience of keeping going. When I look at your work, it's your style, I can see the print design in there. I can see the fashion design in there, the figurative drawings, and I can see the dancing in there. It's your style is an amalgamation of your experiences. And it's once you hear those, it's really clear. It's oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah. It's really obvious.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing with style. It is just a build up of what you love.
Yeah.
And it should be that. It shouldn't be anything forced. It shouldn't be like a trend or, there are going to be moments where it falls into the trend of what's going on. There's everyone, we can't kid ourselves. There are trends in everything in illustration art.
Of course.
But no one should be ashamed of being a part of that time because it's our world now, and we share, and we all look at the same things, and we have the same, I can't think of what the word I'm looking for. We all research the same things. And so, I think
especially with Instagram as well. It's everyone sees the same pictures. It's like I saw something come up on a story earlier, and then about 40 minutes or an hour later, someone else in the office was like, oh my God, to someone else, oh my God, have you seen this video of this? And I was like, so weird.
It is. We all look at the same things. So, of course, we're all going to, the trends. But it's the same in fashion. It's like the same trends. It's the same in movies, everything.
And do you do anything to try and like research things that you've no experience in, to try and get away from those trends?
Yeah, I think that's just natural that we all try and kind of come away. It's like that's the thing about going to see shows that you wouldn't normally go and see, or like even like some of your mates. Like, sometimes there's styles that I don't necessarily like, but I don't think you should close yourself off to it, because sometimes they'll have a different viewpoint, and it's quite nice just to listen to what they have to say about things.
I mean, you can learn stuff from anyone, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And especially artists, I think it's really important to have those conversations and to collaborate, because I don't think we do it enough.
Yeah.
I think we get very sort of like boxed into what we're working on, and especially when it comes to styles, this is the style I like, and then not looking outside, whereas like that's creativity, is like taking those other influences from different places, because you don't know what you're going to find if you don't look.
Yeah, definitely.
I heard you say once in a talk, be stupidly confident.
Oh yeah. People really picked up on that.
What did you mean by that?
I was where was I? I was doing the talk in Brisbane. Yeah, and I was in my room and I was so hungover. And I was just putting my slides together, and I chucked that slide in right at the end, because I was talking about murals and how I did my first solo exhibition. I did my first ever exhibition. It was a solo one. Remind me to go back to that story, because it's a funny story about that. And I basically decided at my first show to do 5 murals, and I'd never done one before. And I decided that because I kept seeing all these artists that I love doing murals, and I was like, yeah, but I want to do some. Surely it's easy. So I was stupidly confident and ended up doing 5 at my show. Worst idea I've ever had, because I had 3 days. The walls were awful, and they were like brick.
Yeah, 3 days is not long.
No. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know what brushes to use. It was awful. And I had to rope in loads of people to come and help me. We got it done in the end, but I learned a lot. But then after, I got asked to do them all over. And I've done like 16 since. So
is being stupidly confident, is that biting off more than you can chew?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Diving in the deep end. Because the thing is, if you don't, I think sometimes it's the idea that you fake it till you make it a little bit. Because everything I do, and if it's something new, I'll always pretend it's a little bit of cockiness to be like, yeah, no, don't worry, I can do that. And then making sure that you can do it after. Yeah. Hence what I did with you guys when I called you about the wall.
Yeah, do you want to explain? Remember, only us have had that conversation, so you might want to fill these guys in.
So I was supposed to do a massive building, and I basically said yes to this building. I'd never done a building before, ever. I mean, I've only done inside murals. How big was it? Like
it's big, isn't it?
It's like 7? No.
Where's 17? There,
17 meters.
17.
So that's like
meters.
6 stories.
6 stories, 7-story building.
6, yeah. Thank you to Jonna, our business partner who's in the crowd, who knows that. It's not just a random who knows this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like...
How do you know that?
And then they emailed me and like, can you do this? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. Totally, got it sorted. And then they said, we can do it for this cost. And I was like, yeah, all good. And then I actually thought about it and I was like, oh, fuck, I actually can't do that at all. So then I was like, what am I going to do? I've got this massive building to paint. So then I started looking around for like people, and then you guys came up, and I remember getting on the phone and being like, all right, guys, I've said yes to this job. You need to help me out, please. and then you guys were like, okay, send us your stuff and we'll see if we can help you.
I'm looking forward to that. When are we doing it? March?
Yeah, March. Well, I need to chat to you about that.
Yeah, boring work
Boring.
talk. Yeah. No, that's going to be exciting. I think that's something that we've always done, isn't it? Is say yes first and then work out how you're going to do it later.
Yeah, because you'll figure it out. You will figure it out. Trust me. If you've said if
there's a slight inkling that you can do it,
just
give
do it.
Yeah,
fuck it. You'll sort it out. Don't worry.
yeah. Someone else is paying for it. It's fine.
we're going to get loads of emails next week being like, I couldn't do it. No, it'll be fine.
Yeah. With your brand work, so you've worked for a lot of different brands like Lego, which I thought was super cool, and Nike, and like a bunch of brands. What you've done marvelously well that we're quite bad at is you like maintain your style within the work that you produce for them. Because for us, so for example, we're doing something for Burberry at the moment, and it is like literally to the Pantone reference. It's like this is what we want, and that's what we're producing. How have you managed to keep that kind of integrity of like this is what you're getting, and it's Kellyanna?
I think at the beginning it wasn't so much, and I would end up having those discussions with the client and being like, oh, it's feeling a bit too far away from me now. What's going on? Like, you've hired me, hire me. Don't hire my hands and use someone else. So a lot of it is having those boundaries. I know that isn't as easy because when you get a brand come to you that you love and you're like, oh, I really want to work with you. But you have to, throughout the whole process, ask questions and be like, why am I doing this? And if it's not going to look like you and you're not going to share it, what's the point in doing it?
Yeah.
So I think it's just about asking certain questions and being like, would you mind if I kept this color palette? Would you mind if I maybe moved more, this direction? It's just about asking more questions. And I think if you're confident with it, a lot of the time they don't really know what they want until you kind of give them something good.
Tell them what they want.
Tell them what they want. Yeah. But it is a tricky one. It is hard because, brands have their own aesthetic, but I think it takes years. And once you get more established and once you get more confidence, it's a lot easier to say no.
Yeah.
So once a brief comes in from a client, what does that first conversation look like?
It depends what it is. So that Lego one was hilarious. So they got me to do this Lego piece, and it was like we had to just.
It's like a big minifigure, wasn't it? One of their Lego
original, men.
Yeah. But made of wood.
Yeah. And we could do anything we wanted with it. And so I decided to do me. I decided to do my own Lego minifigure. And it was so ridiculous, but they allowed it. And it was just like, because I had said to them, I was like, I really want to do this. I think it's going to be really, really great. And Lego piece of myself. It sounds so weird. But I think things like that, it's that kind of that idea of having a lot of fun with things and not being so serious. And a lot of the time you can get away with putting extra things in as well, which is what I like to do. I've done a lot of stuff with Nike, and a lot of the time, if I feel really passionate about something, an added piece to add in, a lot of the time they'll do it because the project...
So they'd come to you with a brief and you'd say, but what if we also do tote bags or...
Yeah, I think a lot of the time we think once you've got your project, that's it.
Yeah.
But actually, it's already there. The theme's there. The project's set up. What's the harm in going, do you know what? I'm going to add in this. I'm going to design this. I'm not saying give yourself extra work, but if it's for a brand that you love and you're going to get a lot from it, why not push it forward? They'll probably have a bit of extra budget to throw in, which is a lot of the time if you design it, if you have the package ready to give them, they say yes. So.
I think brands are getting better at how they treat artists now as well.
Yeah.
And I think they're starting to realise, I mean, obviously it's going to depend brand to brand, but I think, because we had this conversation with Adam J. Curtis when he was on, and I think this was off mic, but there's a lot of brands who will exploit artists, but I don't think you should walk around being afraid that that's going to happen, because like a lot of kind of your friends and contemporaries are working for these brands, and they're just like a Nike is just run by people. And so hopefully when you get through to them, they do realize like, okay, this is your living. And I think they are getting better at like certainly paying and not demanding free work.
No, I mean, my experience has been really positive with it. And I think, again, I think it does come down to like years of growing and developing confidence, because confidence is key when you're talking to clients, because as soon as you feel they've got the one up on you, you've lost. You really have to go in and be like, right, what are we doing? This and really have that energy, because as soon as they start getting the one up on you, like, this is what we want, this is our project, it's like, well, that's not a collab then. That's not how it's supposed to be. And it should be that kind of energy where you're like, oh my God, let's,
And I suppose that power comes from they've got the wallet, they've got the purse strings.
Yeah, but then they've got you in for a reason.
Yeah,
because you've got something that they haven't got necessarily.
Yeah, I think so. So for us, in the early days, we were getting a lot of this like 30-day payment term, 90-day payment terms from some of the biggest companies in the world that are then making you wait 90 days before they pay you, which I think is like just corrupt, really. And so all of a sudden, someone suggested to us, well, why don't you ask for payment up front? And we had never considered that would be an option, because when you go into the world of work, everything is presented to you as this is how it is. And for the most part, we just accept it and we go, oh, this is how it is. Okay, I will do what you say. And so all of a sudden we were like, okay, payment up front. And if you can't do payment up front, then at least 50% deposit. And so we've had like some of the biggest brands in the world going, oh, well, no, that's not our payment policies. And we go back and go, well, it's not our payment policy.
Yeah, we can't start painting until they've been paid. And they'll always find a way.
Yeah, of course they will.
We've had people running over town with a credit card in an Uber to make a 50% payment, because we've literally gone, we can't arrive without you paying us. And especially if you're going to be buying materials and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because you're the one out of pocket when you're buying all the materials.
But a lot of artists won't ask. They'll buy all of the materials, and then they'll wait the 90 days. And it's like, we have to understand that if these clients want us and they want our work, they're going to have to play by our rules. And we think we need to be just a bit braver. And it's like you said, confidence.
That's a really good bit of advice. I don't even do that.
Do you ever say no to people?
Yeah. Not I don't like saying no, but there's often times where I don't feel the brand's right, for sure. That happens quite a lot, and I don't. So sometimes it's really good money, but I can't use it because it's just so far beyond something that I've built up, and I don't. Money will come. I think if you stay true to yourself, and I know I don't like to also say that because I'm realistic as well. Like, again, we've got to pay the rent, we've got to live, and I hate when snobby people are just like, don't take the big jobs for the commercial. It's just like, well, you're an artist. I mean, what the fuck are you supposed to do? So, but I think that you do have to be clever, because in the long run, if you keep working for brands that aren't you and don't have your same message, and then you kind of, I don't think it's good for you.
We just put out a really interesting episode with a guy called Mike, and one of the things he said is when he just sold his company for like $11 million, and when he, like, as they were building the company, the thing that they would always say is, does it make the boat go faster? And they would only do things that make the boat go faster. And so for them, there was a £90,000 Google contract. And they said, does this make the boat go faster? And it actually didn't. So they turned down £90,000 in favour of 300 quid from some of the subscribers who were on their service. And everyone thought they were completely crazy, but it turned out to be the right business decision, because it wouldn't have made the boat go faster. No. So I guess it's having that in your head all the time.
And I think you have a gut feeling. You just know when something isn't right, and you're just like, yeah, some of the brands, I'm just like, it doesn't sit right with me. I'm like, I don't like what they're saying. I don't like their tone of voice. I don't.
Have you ever had any experiences where you've had that gut feeling and you've gone ahead anyway? And it's because for us, we have done that.
Yeah.
And 100% of the time where we've had the bad gut feeling in the beginning, it's been a bad project.
Yeah. I can't think of one right now, but I know I have.
Yeah.
I'm just
so always trust your gut.
Yeah.
Is the
always trust your gut.
Yeah.
Because what we do is all about feeling anyway. It's all about, that energy and that. That's why we do it. We do it because we love it. It's, I think it's, trust yourself and your instincts.
So I'm going to read you a quote of a thing what you've said that I thought was good.
Oh no.
Tell people what you want and slowly it will start to happen.
Oh yes. Oh, that wasn't too
You're
bad.
like, oh, it's a good one.
Did I say that?
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Well, that I think I was talking about. If you like the mural thing, if you want to become a mural artist, start telling people you're a mural artist. That's kind of what I did, and it worked. But no one else is going to tell you, like no one else is going to find out that you're something if you're not putting it out there, basically.
I think it's such great advice because I know like people leave uni and they put everything up of like, I did some ceramic because like just in the hope of to catch someone in the net. Yeah. I did some ceramics and here's some of my murals and here's some of my large scale paintings on canvas. And it's just, whereas if you start putting out, because I mean, a lot of your work being around sport has brought in sport related clients that you've wanted.
Yeah. I think that's massive because I get asked a lot of the time if I am the one who contacts the clients, and I've never contacted clients ever, and I don't think it's a bad thing to do, but I think there's ways around doing it. I don't think you necessarily have to, not be a beg, but I don't think you need to go and, hey, this is me, look at my work. I don't think it's about that. I think it's being a bit more clever about it and kind of thinking, okay, how do I reach that? How do I get them watching me?
Well, you talked about that power dynamic in the emails when it comes through. Like if they're coming to you already, the ball's in your court.
Exactly. Whereas the other way around, it's like they know. Whereas but the problem with that is it can take years, and people don't. No one wants to wait years because everyone wants everything done yesterday. But I think it's about I love everything sports related, athletics, Olympics. I'm obsessed with the Olympics. And so I'll always be posting about that. And then naturally, as that builds, I always get contacted by like sports brands and things like that because it's authentic then. It's not something that's forced. And I genuinely love it.
Yeah, because what we're quite conscious of is when we do work for brands or for other people, when it comes to our portfolio, we'll only put out to the world the things we want to do more of.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to get your head around that. It's like, don't just because you've done it, put out there and be like, oh, I've done this.
Yeah.
Because like we got to a stage where I think it's like the first like live art job I ever did. I kind of brought some references. I studied interior architecture at uni, so I've always drawn buildings and stuff. So I was like, cool, I'm going to draw this like London skyline, these different buildings. Everyone was like, oh, this is amazing. Put on our website because it was great feedback.
Like, so that night, it was the first time you'd ever done any live art in front of anyone. And he goes to me, he showed me these references, photographic references of London skyline, but just in black and white. And I knew I wouldn't be able to do that. And by that stage, I'd been painting and making work for like 10 years. I was like, and I just said to you, like, are you sure you can do that? And you were like, yeah, I'll be fine. So I was shitting myself because I thought the whole thing was going to be a flop. And
this was like one of our first paying jobs as well. It was like an all right figure. So it's probably like, for me, I was just like, oh, I'm confident I can do this. But you were.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's going to wreck this. We're going out of business. This is it. And he smashed it and just did this. I was just like, he's one of those annoying people. He's just good, just good straight away. Yeah.
Oh, you're the worst.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, thanks.
I need to see it.
Yeah, so we did this. It's pretty. Well, it was. You could see it off Holborn High Street for like ages. But yes, we did this piece, put on the website. People are like, oh, that's cool. Can I get a little bit of that?
Yeah.
So we did it, and we did more and more. Kept putting them on the website, and then it got to a stage where the phone would ring. and someone office would answer him like, "Oh, you want a skyline?" And it would almost become this like running joke of just like, "Oh, someone wants another skyline."
Yeah.
So when we redesigned the website, we reduced the amount of skylines on there and put more other stuff on there. Just we didn't have to do them constantly.
We got to the stage where Adam could paint a London skyline from memory without a reference.
Every main monument in London, I can just draw from the top of my head.
What?
That's how many times we've done London skylines.
Yeah.
We were literally sick of them. Yeah.
But it's true. It's true. If you give people that, they'll just. It is. You've got to be the one who decides what people get.
Yeah.
And that is how you promote yourself and what you put out. But yeah, that is.
So how do you get people to find out about you?
I think I don't know. It's a hard one because I didn't realise when I started my Instagram and when I started because I was working, I was working at the time at a luxury shoe designer, and that was when I was like I need to start doing my own thing. And so I was kind of like working behind the scenes, like literally going to work and then coming home and working on my stuff. And I slowly kind of started putting it out there on my Instagram. I literally had no followers then. I had like, when you're like trying to get 11 likes. And I just kept going, and I didn't give up when I had like no likes.
I think like we talk about it all the time. It's like everyone started from zero.
Yeah. Every
single account started from nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's been through it at some point, and you have to get through that to get to the stage where it's bigger.
And I always say this as well. You never know who's watching. Like you never know who's watching you, because that's why I don't have a private account if you're trying to grow yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's actually how I got my first Nike job. Because it was actually quite naughty. I did a T-shirt saying I did a Nike tick. This was years ago, and one of my girls lying on it, and it said "Just do it later." But I didn't realise at the time that a couple of girls at Nike bought one.
Amazing.
Which I found really strange. I was like,
I think a lot of
trouble?
people who work at Nike are really into like bootleg stuff. Yeah.
And then so they started following me through that. And then they DM'd me, and that's how I got my first job with them.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like, obviously the wider the net, the more opportunities you're going to get, but it only takes one person.
Yeah.
So if you've got 200 followers, if they're 200 CEOs of do you know what I mean? That's all you need.
Yeah.
So
also be aware of who you are following as well. I think be clever in who you decide to watch. Because a lot of what we do, you've got to be in the know with what's going on as well. I think it's really important.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.